So you've jumped in and you're studying, you want to learn the Word of God better, but maybe you have that question about how do I choose the right Bible version to study the Word of God? What are the differences? Because there are so many. That's a great question. And I brought my Bibles today to show you the Bibles that I've read over the years and what I turn to for different types of study. So this first one is the Living Bible, and it looks old because my parents gave it to me when I was 15. And I decided, I didn't tell anyone, but I decided to read the Word of God. I wanted to read it cover to cover. And I just read a chapter in the Old Testament and a chapter in the New every day until I finished it. It took me 3 years. And so when I was 18, I was finished with it. But the Living Bible was such a good one to start with for me because I could understand it. And then this is an NAS, which is New American Standard Version, and it's very formal, but very accurate, and I've read that multiple times. This one was my life Bible. I got this as a gift from my husband more than 30 years ago, and 30 years of life have been lived walking through this Bible with God. I have notes, I have cards from my kids, I have things written in the margin, I have more highlights in there than you can imagine because I've read it over and over again, and it's NIV. I love that. It's a study Bible with a concordance in it. This is an ESV Bible, which is English Standard Version, and it's very accurate too, and just gave me a different way of hearing the words of God than I had read before. And this is the most current one that I am reading. I've been reading this the last few years, and it's the Christian Standard Version, and very accurate as well, really enjoyable. So these are and I also have the Message down lower here, the Message Bible, which many of you are familiar with, and the New Passion Bible. What does all that mean? There's so many. How do we land on the right one? For you to find a Bible that's accurate for study and speaks to you for enrichment, let's talk about that. So there's a difference between translations and paraphrase, and that can be confusing, but it's pretty simple to illustrate. A translation is typically something that it was translated from the Bible. That particular version of the Bible was translated from the original Greek and Hebrew. And so the scholars went back and read it word for word and translated it from the original. A paraphrase, a lot of times, is something that, and maybe this doesn't speak to all of them, but it's more commonly that some scholars or even a single person took a version that was already translated and then reworked it into modern language. So if you look at it like that, the more accurate ones would be the ones you'd want to actually study. The ones that are translations that I think were more scholarly works. And so we at the Assemblies of God and for this study recommend a few specific ones. I would say that the most accurate translations would be, for example, the New American Standard Version. It's harder to read, a little more formal, but it is very accurate. The NIV is actually a very good, well done scholarly work and more readable, but still very accurate. The English Standard Version is a little bit more like the New American Standard. It's more formal language, very accurate, but a good reading. It is a little more comfortable to read in the English language than the NAS Bible. Then you have the New King James, a great scholarly work, and then the Christian Standard also. For enrichment, it's really fun, and I think it helps illuminate passages in a new way when we go to one of these paraphrases. They wouldn't be what I would turn to study the meaning, the original meaning of the passages, but to give you a richness, it's nice to have these to supplement your study with, the Passion Bible, the Living Bible, the Message. So that's the general difference between a translation version or a paraphrase. And I read a great book, and I would recommend it if you are interested in finding out more. Maybe you really want to know the nuts and bolts of Bible translations. Gordon Fee, who wrote How to Study the Bible for All It's Worth, excellent resource, also wrote How to Choose a Translation for All It's Worth. And it's a terrific Bible. I got it on Kindle, and it will walk you through the different versions and maybe give you an even greater understanding of how you might find what you're looking for. More than anything, get a Bible, get it in your hands, open it up, and begin to read it. For a little help in choosing, feel free to go to BibleGateway.com, and you can look up a passage and change the version over and over again and read it in the different options before you buy. It's a great way to learn what fits your way of learning, the voice that you like in the Word of God, and to find the one that you want before you make the big purchase. I hope you enjoy the search and that you land on a Bible that really walks with you through the rest of your life.